All right, guys, today we are jumping into a topic that we kind of went over in the last video when Danny and Justin were out. Flash forward to that, put the link or whatever we're going to do with that. Talking about stacking the rib cage and the pelvis. We went over it in a little bit of detail in regards to overhead training or training the lats, but I want to go into some of the benefits and why you would want to do this for squats or deadlifts or whatever. So let me explain to you kind of what I'm talking about. In order to brace effectively, we need to make sure our rib cage and our pelvis are lined up, right? A lot of the times, especially with old school multiply lifting or other videos on the internet you've seen, you see a lot of something that looks like this. People will get under the bar, and what they'll do is they'll reach their butt back and open up their rib cage. So what that looks like from the side is you're here and then they do this. What we're doing in that position is not allowing ourselves to brace our torso effectively. When you're looking to move the most weight, what we really want to focus in on is that pelvis and that rib cage to stay stacked, and then we pressurize that area with air and contract the muscles of our core. So first and foremost, what we need to really focus in on is maintaining that position and understanding how to get into that position. It's very difficult to explain, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an exercise and a variation of that exercise that you can put into your training to get a better understanding of what it means to brace and actually feel and understand what we're looking for when it comes to stacking that rib cage and that pelvis. So let's go right over there and check it out. All right, guys, so before we get into the exercise, I want to show you how you can actually get into this position and what some of the cues are for you to really focus in on that brace or that neutral position. So a lot of people are walking around, it's called an anterior pelvic tilt. Kind of looks like a duck butt, right? Butt's kind of sticking out. You'll run into a lot of issues with tight hip flexors. Your hamstrings can be super tight, weak glutes, all of that, right? So what we want to focus in on first is allowing yourself to get back into neutral. So what I want you to really focus in on is kind of just squeeze your butt. Squeeze your butt, that takes your pelvis and kind of pulls it into a better position. From there, I want you to think, stiffen up the abs just a little bit and bring that rib cage down. You'll notice glutes are turned on, abs are engaged. And now from this position, I want you to think breathing down, filling this space with as much air as you possibly can. So if I'm here, I go, fill this up 360 degrees, and this is the position you want to start in. This is the position you want to start your squat in. This is the position you want to start your deadlifts in. You want this stacked torso so that you can be as powerful in the hips as you possibly can. A lot of the times, people, like I had mentioned before, think they can brace in this position here. You can't. Everything here is on a stretch. It's impossible for you to stack yourself into a good position and lock in. So I wanted to go over that before we get into the exercise to make sure you're doing it right. All right, guys. So to kind of emphasize what I mean about stacking your rib cage and your pelvis, what I want to do is grab a kettlebell, grab a weight. It can be anything. It can be a sandbag. It can be a small animal, whatever you have at your ready. And what you want to do is just hold it in front. What you're going to notice is the farther out you go with this weight, the more your anterior core, the front of your core, actually locks down. A lot of times you'll see people brace. They'll go and lock that in. And if you notice, my rib cage and my pelvis aren't lined up. What we want to do is we want to teach that cue of breathing down, pressurizing this space, and locking that position in as we move. So what we do is we use a weight out in front of us, like a kettlebell, and just do a very simple goblet squat. So you're gonna be here, weights out in front. I want you to really feel that weight and lock that rib cage down on that pelvis. So we align the rib cage and the pelvis, and then we fill it with air. And we cinch that down, holding that position the whole time, and we drive into that good position, maintaining that stacked pelvis and rib cage. See, this is one of those things that we kind of overlook. As powerlifters or strength athletes, we try to just move as much weight as we possibly can. And when I say brace, we're not really thinking of a really good strategy to do that. So with an exercise like this as an accessory or even a warm-up, it'll allow you to kind of organize your body and organize the way that you go about bracing for when the weight actually gets heavier. So to kind of go from the top, what we want to think about, we'll do it from the side, is lining up the rib cage and the pelvis. And that's not excessively tucking your hips underneath you, looking like a dog that's like pooping over a fence. What you want to do is you just want to stiffen the core a little bit, bring that pelvis into neutral, lock that rib cage down, and then fill it with air, lock it in, maintain that position as we go down, and drive straight up. Reset. Same thing, lock that position in, fill it with air, tight, down, and up. Very simple. And what we can do is we can increase the difficulty of this over time. A lot of the times that starts to become a little bit easier. So what we can do is increase the demands for stability and increase the demands for your athleticism. Enter front foot elevated split squat. What we're gonna do is we're gonna be focusing in on those same cues, right? We wanna stack that rib cage, right? Stack that pelvis. Now we're gonna focus in on breathing, nice and tight. Breathe, and I want you to drop straight down on this, right? Feeling the inside of that front foot. Feeling that big toe digging into the box, coming down, 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 letting that knee travel. Here, hold, and up. You're not gonna come all the way up because that'll push you out of position. You wanna focus in on keeping that rib cage, that pelvis, and that air locked into one piece, stacked nice and tight, coming down, holding, coming up. That's not easy. Again, anytime you're picking an accessory or a supplemental movement, we want to be practicing the skills that you need for your main exercise. This is a great example of that. Kick that out of the way. Catch my breath. Just wrap this up. Yeah. Cool. Exercise pelvis. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you actually put these into your programming, giving them a shot. Teach yourself, right? Teach yourself about the good position that you need to be in to move the most weight, and give yourself the time to learn that through your accessories, through your supplemental, through your workout from start to finish. So I'm out of breath. I just did squats, single leg squats, doing all sorts of things, breathing heavy. I hope you guys enjoyed this. On behalf of myself and Jacob behind the camera, thank you guys very much for checking this out, and we will see you in the next one. I'm gonna grab a lighter-ish weight. All right, you ready?
If I know where you're gonna go.
I'm just gonna be right in this. I'm gonna be floating. Oh, the red light was on. Okay, cool. Sick.